Hello, my name is Kelly Jenrette, and you are watching Monday Morning Critic.
Kelly, I have two names I want to throw at you and just say whatever you want after I say it, okay?
Okay,
Uh, Whatever comes to your mind. Elizabeth Moss,
amazing.
Loretta Phillips.
My world.
Yeah, and
Her
there's
story.
we're gonna get to her story in a second because
Yeah,
your story and her story are intertwined through this whole thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Your first major commercial I want to say was Kmart, correct?
Yes,
I was
yeah.
like, I gotta ask her this, and it's the cheesiest thing, and you're gonna be like, there are only three Kmarts left. How sad is that?
It's very sad.
Right? It's
It,
like a time gone by, right, Kelly?
it's so sad. I was so excited when I got the commercial, and there was so much buzz that was created around it because it was very tongue in cheek. Like, this is not a Christmas commercial because it was done in September. And so they got a lot of buzz, but then it wasn't enough to keep them around.
Yeah, yeah. I won't ask you why you're. I think you've answered this on enough interviews where I don't have to ask what drew you to acting, but I will ask you what kind of kid you were growing up.
Ooh, okay. I've never been asked that before. What kind of kid was I growing up? I was a bit of a tomboy. Loved climbing trees outside of the home I grew up in East Atlanta. There, I don't even know what kind of tree it was, but it was a massive tree, and it had, massive branches that would go out. And I just remember climbing up that tree. I remember asking my dad if I could mow the lawn. It was just, I have four brothers, and so it's that thing of like, whatever they can do, I can do.
Right.
So I think I was a bit prideful, but very loving and kind. I would, over the summer, and I don't know why my brothers sat through it, but it was over the summer, we would have school. I
Yeah.
would teach them, and it was like, it's summer, but they still sat there and listened, and they played baseball, and their friends would come over, and I would sing Colors of the Wind to them. So I was a bit of a strange bird.
Oh, you know what though, Kelly? If I ask this question 10 years from now to another actor, they might say I spent my face in my iPhone versus what
Yeah,
you did as a kid, right? I mean, listen, I'm guilty of being in my iPhone all the time, but I
yeah,
know as a kid, very much like you, I was at least outside. I was experiencing things, doing things.
yeah.
So, you
So
know,
true.
yeah, you mentioned Atlanta. I'm going to a Comic Con in Atlanta at the end of February.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, and it's been like the third or fourth time there. I like to pretend like because I went there four times for Comic Con, like I'm from there. So everyone
Yeah,
asked me, "Where are you going?" I said, "Well, I'm going to Hot Atlanta." Like I don't
yeah,
care. I act like I'm from there, and it's a really people talk about great cities. It is such an underrated city. I love it.
yeah,
I love Atlanta. I absolutely love it.
yeah. It's great.
You know, the girl who got involved with Willy Wonka, and you went to a movie with your dad, The Five Heartbeats.
Yes.
Those stories you said before, but let me ask you: is there another movie, either with dad or mom, that you would credit to your love of acting outside of those two experiences? Right, because one's a play when you were a kid, one's a
Hmm.
very memorable time with dad at a movie theater. Is there a
Hmm.
second memory you might have of a movie that you really loved?
Mm. I don't know if it wasn't a movie. I do remember us sitting around together as a family. Um, I think it was it Thursday night TV, like the Cosby Show.
Yeah,
We would sit around and watch that. I remember vividly us all sitting around watching Sinbad's comedy special,
yeah.
just laughing. And so those are the two things that come to mind that I really enjoyed. And was like, this is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, good answer. As an actor, I'm sure you're not afraid of risks. Is there a genre or a role that you would be that would take you to maybe some heavy consideration before taking it? Any type of genre or role that you would be like,
Horror.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Anything that's like demonic in nature, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. Even if it's like sci-fi thriller or not like M. Night stuff. I
Right.
would do his stuff at the drop of a hat.
Right.
But some
Or Peel, very similar. Yeah. Yeah.
drop of a hat, sign
Yeah.
me up
Yeah.
all day.
Yep.
But some of these other like the scary stuff where people are changing and yeah, that I'd be like, ooh.
Yeah, I never understood the appeal of like slasher movies. Like, I don't get it. Like, to me, why? Just listen. Everybody has their thing, fine. But like for an
Yeah.
hour and a half to watch people get killed brutally, like I don't get it. It's missed me. It's missed me.
Yeah, that's how I was with the last well, not the last Halloween, but the one before that. We were sitting here and I was like, I don't why is he killing people
Yeah.
like this?
Yeah.
It was like, did something happen? Like I just couldn't understand. So I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it, and I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Kelly, there's a 6 year span when you moved to LA
Hmm.
where I would say, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, that you were almost angry. I mean, and I get it, right? Right. Because listen, as a podcaster, I like there's guests that I love on my podcast, and I look at the podcast they choose to do. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
this is like you when you're watching a role where you're like, I mean, I have anger problems, so I don't know if this is you, but like I'll watch like an interview and I'll be like, I don't either this person's management doesn't care about what they do or when they do it, and I get
Yeah.
really angry, or like a production studio or whatever. Did you get that type of angry? Like, Jesus. And I know you're on record as saying you had tantrums and you got really angry. And I get it. I get
Yeah.
it. I mean, you took a big risk. You took a leap of faith. And now
Mhm.
you're 6 years in. I'm not going to compare my situation to yours, but I kind of get some of where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah.
How do you get past it? How are you feeling during this time? Anything you wanted to say on that?
Yeah, coming from Atlanta where I thought, hey, I'm talented. I'm not going to say I'm the best actor, but like I'm talented. So I came out here with this idea that my talent would just open doors for me.
Yeah.
And then it didn't. And I saw other people who I thought, I mean, I'm not gonna say they not good, but I could have done, there is that thing of like, so wait, why am I not working? Or why did I not audition for that? Or why am I auditioning for this? I
Mm,
didn't even have I didn't even have representation for the first 3 years that I was out here. And then when I did get representation, I feel like a little bit of the anger went away
yeah.
because I had someone that I knew that was also rooting for me. But I think I had to get to a place, and that probably wasn't until year 8, past the 6 years of the temper tantrums of the I'm ready to go home. That year 8 when I was like, all right, I've done everything that I can do. God, I truly believe that you told me to come out here. You've
Right.
given me this gift. What's the assignment? What do you want me to do? And that's when I feel like doors really started to open for me when I
Yeah.
made it not about myself.
Yeah, great answer. One of your entries in your filmographies, All American Homecoming. How much of that, what happened during that time period, your resiliency is in an aura, and I would imagine a lot of it, if I had to guess, a lot of what you had to go through during that time has fueled this character. And I don't want to be like, know all, but am I in the ballpark?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as actors, we should not, let me say me. At me as an actor, I feel like there is always a part of me that I can bring to my character, experiences that I have had, really wanting something and fighting for something, and then constantly being, you know, running into a brick wall when you're like, no, I know that I'm doing the right thing. Why are you not helping me?
Right.
So Amara absolutely kind of felt that way. And I'm like, yes, I get it. I felt that way too.
And Amara and characters like that, they get their how much do you feel like even other entries in your filmography, does it come from life experience, things that happened to you? Like, is that a common thing? Is that, or does it depend on the role, Kelly?
I mean, I think how much of my experience goes into it depends on the role. So, for example, All Day and a Night that I did with Jeffrey Wright and Ashton Sanders, Delonda, that character was nothing like me. And early on, I judged her. I judged the choices that she made, how she talked, what she would like. I judged her. And it wasn't until I was like, wait, take a step back and try to understand, if you were in that situation,
Right.
what would you do? And so sometimes it's instances like that of like, let me just put your shoes on to understand, if I didn't have the loving parents that I had growing up, and the ability to have resources and all those other things, what would my life be like? It made it easier to identify with her.
Yeah, and I mentioned your mother earlier. Big part of this whole process for you, Kelly, right? Big part.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love hearing that during interviews. That part doesn't get old for interviews. Like when you
Yeah.
hear how passionate you are about your mom, it's just music to my ears. I love hearing it because, and your mom still flies out. Still is your like number one fan, right, Kelly?
Yeah, she is my number one fan. Someone said to her that one of her friends said that he was my number one fan, and she had to correct him and say, "No, no, sir, you're not." But that woman is truly the wind beneath my wings. I in the eighth grade, I sang that song at a talent show, and at the end, I said, "I love you, mommy," and I had to then sing that song to her. Like when I moved, every year for her birthday, I had to call and sing Wind Beneath My Wings. And so a
Mm.
couple of years ago, a friend has a studio and he allowed me to record it in his studio. So I was like, now you have it. You can play it whenever you want.
Mm.
But she truly is the wind beneath my wings. And I don't want to imagine what life would have been like without her.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you run lines with the great Melvin Jackson Jr. Bernard from The Wire?
Yes.
Very good, awesome. Yeah, more interviews should bring up how very talented your husband is. He is a very talented actor, I must say.
Well, thank you for saying that. Yes, I do run lines with him. I give him call times for when we are going to run lines. And when he's late for his call time, I'm like, I'm going to have to recast you as my line reader. So please be on time for your call time. But then the later episodes, I stopped running lines with him because I was like, I'm going to ruin it for you. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to know the things that happen. And we watched the show. So I stopped running lines with him.
And even before this acting career, I thought this was really interesting. You were considering a career in forensic science, but then when you
Mhm.
when you saw how much science was involved, you're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" I would have been the same way. Whoa! Anything with math and science? Whoa! We're good. Let's just take a step back from the table here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so much science. And I don't know why I didn't think that, like, forensic psychology. Yeah. You know, and to be a forensic scientist, like, yeah, you're going to have to take a lot of science classes. And I aced my first science exam, but then I was like, so I'm going to have to do this for the next 3 years? No, I didn't. I changed my mind.
Well, forensic scientists look so cool on TV. It seems like the
Too.
greatest job, but it's like once you figure out what they have to go through, it's like, oh, no thanks. No
Yeah.
thank you. I'm good. I really wanted to talk about Handmaid's Tale, and I feel like another. I mean, granted, you were nominated for an Emmy, so I can't say nobody made a big deal out of it because it
Yeah.
was deservingly so. But what I want to talk about, and I was researching this all day, is you had it for one episode, season 2, episode 4. I want to say that, it caught you off guard. Let me ask you why it caught you off guard.
Why the Emmy nomination?
Why the Emmy nomination caught you off guard? Well, maybe surprised you. Maybe not surprised you. I mean,
It caught me off guard. It
okay.
surprised me, all the things. Because I had 2 scenes. One scene I had no words at all. So it was just such a short time that I was on screen, and I didn't think that it would have that kind of impact on anyone. So that was like the real reason why I was like, oh, wow, okay. So people did watch this and it did resonate with them in a way that it moved them to vote for me.
Yeah, and there's and people were talking about how your character changed that season in that one episode. So
Yeah.
I was thinking of you today too because I had Judd Hirsch, who's in The Fablemans, just recently nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Kelly, he was on screen that movie for 6.5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, this is not uncommon. Do you know that there? And I want to come at you with some stats because I want you to know
Okay.
that this is how impressive your feat was. There are, I want to say, 11 Oscar-winning actors that have been on screen for less than 20. It's actually closer to 15, and
Yeah.
half of those were less than 10. So I
Wow.
guess it's when people tell me about small roles, this that I don't buy it. Like this is
Yeah.
perfect. It's how you take that role you're given, and boy, you sure as hell took that role and made something of it, Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and growing up, my acting teacher was always like, there are no small roles, just small people if that's what
Yeah,
you want to be, but it's no small roles. You make that role what it is. And so yeah, I don't think I looked at it as a small role, but I did look at it as a small amount of time on the screen. But I gave everything to that character that I had to give, just as I would any other character.
right. What observations did you make off camera about the set, what goes on, how they run things? What observations did you come up with, Kelly? Is it different than any other set you've been on? Do they do something different because it's such an iconic show right now?
No, I can't say that I recall them doing anything different. There was a lot of joy on that set. There was a lot of laughter. Everyone was extremely kind and generous and giving. I didn't feel like I could be in that space of like laughter because I'm like, I am here to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
Let me focus on doing this job to the best of my ability. And then after we wrap, then yeah, I can hang out and laugh and joke with people. But it was a great set.
Yeah, the people you're nominated with too, just for those listening or watching: Viola Davis, Cherry Jones, I mean, it's like Cicely Tyson. It's like the best of the best. How do you
Yeah.
keep yourself grounded? Is it tough to go from like this to? I mean, not that you were anywhere below, but it's like a high. Like the whole world is talking about the nomination. How do you maintain perspective in a time like that? Because I can imagine it's difficult. You have to have some humble pie, I guess, over the course of time, right, Kelly? Because you can't get lost in the moment because then you're spending the rest of your career, I have to believe, trying to chase that again, and that's not how successful acting works. Am I right, Kelly, with that?
Yeah, I had to come to the understanding for myself and be very clear that while I enjoy this career and Hollywood and all of that, it cannot be my world. The only thing that I require or desire from Hollywood is my paycheck. My
Mm,
love, my joy, my peace, my happiness, all of those things cannot come from Hollywood. Although, like I bring those things
mm,
to Hollywood so that if it disappears, my love, my joy, my peace, my happiness does not, because it wasn't found in that thing. It was something that I brought to this
right.
industry and something that I hold dear to my heart. And so just keeping that at the forefront, that they're just going to give you a check. That's it.
Yeah, and I love that quote, by the way. I love that. And I also love something you said on another interview. You said something to the effect of, you can be passionate all you want. You can have, all the whatever in the world, but unless you're sharpening your tools,
Yeah.
you're just wishing time away. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. Do you think, first of all, Kelly, let me ask you about that quote, and I have a follow-up to that.
Yeah, so that quote comes from a Proverbs. It is not good to have zeal without knowledge, nor to be hasty and miss the way. And I'm still in class. I'm back in class now every Saturday from 9:45 to 1 p.m. And a Tuesday night class when my schedule permits. I can have all the passion, but if I'm not constantly sharpening, it's like you see the chefs with the knives and they're constantly
Yeah,
sharpening
yeah,
those knives. I
yeah.
don't ever want to get dull in my craft.
Yeah, that's great. So you're in acting classes taking, you're because you were teaching for a while too, I think.
I did, yes, I did
Yeah.
do teaching for a little bit during the pandemic, and now I'm back in as a student.
So tell me something, Kelly, you've learned recently, not learned recently, but you feel like you've improved on recently, taking classes and kind of honing your craft. What have you learned recently or picked up recently in those classes that you are taking and sharpening those tools? Say anything about anything. It could be anything, that you've.
So there, I have learned that whenever I am given a note that I may not necessarily agree with, that there is a way to take that note and make it work for me. So I was told by one of my acting coaches, like, what is Amara's argument? What does she believe? What does she stand on? And for me, it is the I am taken care of as long as I know other people are taken care of. And so if there is a note, there was a note that I was given that I was like, no, it wasn't. I told my acting teacher, I said, I know this is the note they're going to give. And he said, okay, great. If they give you that note, if your character's argument is, I'm okay as long as I am able to take care of someone else, or if other people are taken care of, then you take that note, because in that you are still taking care of someone, and that is what you want to do. And so learning how to make sure I am very clear on who the character is, and being able to take those notes and adjust it in a way that makes sense for my character was something that was just mind blowing for me.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And back to that one quick quote that you were talking about, sharpening your tools. Do you think if you understood that quote, and maybe you did during that 6 year span, it would have made life a little easier? You would have been so hard on yourself, you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is that thing of like looking back over your life and being like, girl, if I would have known the things then that I know now, and if it would have just been, because I was still in class then, but it wasn't so much, it wasn't only about sharpening my tool. It's about, okay, well, now who can I meet? And
Right.
then who will they introduce me to so that I can get the next thing? It wasn't just about, no, you're here to sharpen your tool. And yeah, 100%. If I would have just focused on that, then there would have been far fewer temper tantrums.
And Kelly, some of that is like life experience. Like you can't learn it in a book, you can't learn it in a class. Like you have to
Yeah,
live it. You have to live it. And then you look back and try to not make that same mistake again, right, Kelly?
absolutely. Absolutely. Because, books or people define success one way. And that was another thing that I had to redefine for myself. Success is not just, oh, now I'm on a TV show. No, success is you stayed out here when
Yeah,
other people didn't. They went
that's
back
right.
home. Like that was a quote, Harrison Ford. Someone said, he was interviewed like, how did you make it and your friends didn't? He was like, I stayed.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, yeah, that's the success. I stayed, and being comfortable redefining success for myself and on my own terms has been tremendous for me.
Before I let you go, Manhunt, another terrific show that you've
Yeah.
done, and I'm so excited about what the future brings, Kelly. You're such a talented actor.
Thank
You
you.
really know what you're doing on screen, and I wish people would throw more work your way. I know you want it for the acting and the checks, and I get it
Yeah.
for your profession, but you know what? Like you've earned it. Like that's something that's your craft. You're really good at it, and
Thank
you're
you.
clearly good at it. But like I just wish I'm so excited for what the future brings for you. Is there anything you could say about your future? Anything you wanted to throw out there? Social media, whatever, Kelly. It's your floor.
Yeah, so a film that I did 2 years ago, Honor Student, will be having its world premiere at the Pan African Film Festival out here in LA on
Nice.
February 11th at 9:55 p.m. It is what they called a provocative thriller that deals with gun violence, a school shooting.
Yeah.
And Hudson Yang, who is from Fresh Off the Boat, who is a grown man now. I play opposite him, and his character takes my character hostage. And it's almost like a two-hander, but it's such a powerful movie. It was such a very difficult movie to film, but one that is definitely going to spark conversation. And I don't think the film is saying this is the answer. I think it's saying let's sit down and figure out what the answer is.
Because those are discussions people need to have, Kelly, about school
Yeah.
shootings, about other things that are going on in the world. Like those are, I mean, if we're not talking about them, we're not helping solve the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Kelly, big fan. Thank you so much for all this time. Wishing you nothing
Thank
but
you.
happiness and success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Take care. Bye-bye.